Hey guys, in this episode we're going to do a lot of cleanup and corrections. I met with my mentor and advisor. I checked in with him once a week and he says, let's rethink how we're setting up our enemy characters. So earlier in this series, we set up our enemy characters to be in our blueprints, enemy folder. Under battle, we have our BP enemy character, and then I have a folder here for scorpions, which has three different children blueprints. That was an accident. But we have three different children blueprints, or four. And we were talking about this, and we agreed it was unnecessary after he suggested we pivot. So what we're doing now is inserting the parent or the prior parent by just dragging it to the level, updating the settings from instance editable settings in the details panel. So both of these are actually the same, and that way we're not creating in our folders all of these different enemies. So I have to do some cleanup here. So this episode is going to really be about a bunch of cleanup. And that's okay. I expect a lot of that along the way because, as I've stated in the beginning, I'm not the professional here, but we're learning together. So these blueprints, I'm just going to kind of go over the updates that we made. And then I ran into some other issues from when we moved over the game animation sample pack character. But to start, I was planning on making updates to our battle manager, but we never even got to that. So that's to be continued. And where I want to start with is our enemy character. So I had some logic here. Essentially, I had some blueprint nodes here that we can find in the Discord channel and in the other videos that just set the idle animation for a particular enemy. And then it carried on over, and then it set the battle enemy data table. So that basically data from the data table assigned to there. But so there was these different sections, and then what I like is what we kind of covered over here. So upon event begin play, we got our data table for the data table battle enemy stats, which we already had created, which is here. And then from there, we added more rows though. We added material, a name variable, a use material variable of Boolean, a skeletal mesh, an animation, and an enemy skills array. So these were all new, and I kept the prior integer variables. So we added new variables to the struct of which the data table is assigned to. And then from here, we can then drag it out that blueprint and make the updates. So from the event begin play, we're grabbing from the data table and the row name of the name variable or enemy name. And what that allows us to do, I can show, is the data table has a row name, which we can name. We have test and char. We have not filled out a level 3 or updated this yet, but we can do that live. So we are grabbing the data from the row name, and then we're setting the entire struct. That's one thing that we did too. Even though we already have one variable here that I was working on, we set the entire struct, and then we can start breaking it apart with break battle enemy stats variable. So from here, the first thing that happens is we set the skeletal mesh, which is from this mesh component. We're setting it. The target is the mesh, and we're updating it from our data table that we're breaking apart. So that's how in here, if I go to the test, which is our scorpion, we're gonna, if the row is the test name, which we set up in here, enemy name is test, so we have the enemy name test. Then it pulls from the data table assigned to it the skeletal mesh, which was the scorpion. And then if it's used material, which we have a default material. If it's true, then we set that material to the mesh. If it's false, then we don't set it and we continue on to the next step, which is to play an animation. So the data table also has an idle animation. And then from there, we decide we added another variable. Is it a boss? And if it's true, then we have something just visually cool to increase the scale or the size of the mesh by 2 times. And we set the enemy battle count to 1. And the objective of this enemy battle count is once we enter into a battle, how many enemies will there be in our turn-based battle. So if it is a boss, true, and then create our stats widget. If it's, which is a new widget, but if it's false, then we come on down to, if it's 0, or in other words, we don't enter or specify, then it's a random integer between the range of 1 and 3 enemy units. Or if we do set it, then it's overridden and it's whatever we put in the details panel. So that was one major update that we've made. We're leaning more on data tables. Lastly, I showed one widget, so we didn't update these. Although I'm gonna need it in a moment. I'll just keep it open. So I think this is the one that, yeah, this is what we were working on. So for the widget, we're getting the enemy stats, and we just have a name printing to the string, which is why on play, we have the names displaying. So this here is just our testing. The scorpion is a boss, that's why it's twice as big as normal. It has the animations, and then our other test character is just another Westin model with a animation. So that was a new major pivot of what we're working on. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. And I want to share something that I noticed, which we have more corrections and stuff to do, which I knew we would run into. And now it's just time to deal with it. It might get a little sloppy. And that is, we also worked on some enemy skills, but we approached our time, so that'll all come later. We're gonna, in the data table, assign different skill types, almost like element, but we'll cover that later. What I am faced with now, though, is up until we moved over the game animation sample pack, we had a lot of custom logic in our BP third-person character controller. So if I push play, our progress bar, once it reaches full, it's supposed to display our menu. That no longer happens because all of our logic is in the third-person controller, which is no longer assigned because the new assigned controller is our PC underscore sandbox, and that came from our mover. So another thing I wanted to do today was that, and then also clean up all these folders. I have a lot of folder cleanup to do after migrating the game animation sample pack. There's like too much for me to be comfortable with. In any case, I want to open this PC sandbox, player controller sandbox. In the event graph, I haven't explored this yet. I thought this would have a lot more code. This is super clean, which is kind of crazy. Teleport to target. There's all kinds of stuff here. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is kind of crazy. I'm just gonna start copying and pasting everything from here to. Oh, I have to add some. Okay. I think the first thing I should do is look at the interfaces that we have set up. So we have a BPI action button and a BPI battle response. I think to prevent any crashes, I'm going to start with this. So I'll bring that over there in my other window, bring this here. It's the other way around. So from here, I'm going to go to, class settings. I need to add BPI action button. And BPI battle response. So we set up these interfaces. And I don't see an event begin play. But let's see. So one problem that I expect to run into when I copy and paste code from this blueprint to this one is that not all of the variables are here. I'm gonna save my project because I'm afraid of possible crashes. I think I'm just gonna do one at a time. So I want to copy the show action menu. So there's no functions. Interfaces I've already. Let's just see what happens when I copy this over here. Does not like it at all. Compile. Is this not editable? Okay. Well, didn't like a few things. What if I just do this? Okay, so it just did not like copying over an interface. So I copied over those two bullets. This is kind of like gray. And then what happens is you just create the battle variable UI ref. And then over here, I'm going to do, I think that means, I already forget. Interfaces, show action menu. Do I just drag it? No. Do I implement event? Yes. Okay. Okay, so that's our show action menu. And I knew building this way back when that we were going to run into these long-term issues, but we're dealing with them now. The next one, event hide action menu. Okay, so I'm going to right click implement and then hide action menu button. So this is using there. That's working. Okay. Let's even copy this, copy that. Let's, oh. Hide action menu. And then event action selected. Okay. So that's nice. And then where do we go from there? So we have a switch. All of this, I think, can be copy and pasted. Okay. This is all cool stuff that we built before. Okay, and I can compile it, no errors. Event previously selected. This is kind of tedious, but I'm also very happy because our code is pretty clean in my opinion. Like, this isn't giant long logic that we're trying to fight with. This is why I'm happy we used blueprint interfaces as much as possible. What was that? Turn from magic menu. Okay. Or maybe one more. There we go. So event magic spell response. Okay. So here's another variable that I have not used yet. We'll expect to run into that. So that's going to be the, oh, okay. Interesting. The third person character type. So this is going to have to be updated probably to the character type of Westin. So let's copy those guys. Okay. In this one, so I'm gonna create the variable. However, I am expecting this to be, if I go to the world settings, CBP Westin mover. I hope. Do nothing real quick. Okay, hold on. Compile. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, now I can go you. Oh, what? Interesting. Oh, okay. Apply damage and heal. Can I do that? Interesting. I'm gonna run into some issues here. So I have some logic in the third person character that I'm also gonna have to move over. Let's see what that looks like. That's also to be expected, but I already forgot. So a third person character probably has a similar amount of logic. Okay. Okay. It's gonna take a little bit more work, but it's okay. let's come back to this. I want to finish up this one. So let's zoom in, see what's going on here. None of these are new variables. But they do occur off of event begin play. I guess I'll stick it up here. Event begin play. This self needs to be make sure it's to this self, right? What did I call this one? Displaying main battle widget UI, right? Okay. And then one more. HP bar logic. Okay, so what's going on here? Another couple of updates. Might run into some issues on this one too. So I don't want that. I want cast to CP. What's it called? Yeah. It's the Westins sandbox. Interesting. Is Weston not a character blueprint? What is it? Sandbox character mover? Okay. Can I not do that? Oh. Sandbox character mover. Oh, it's a pawn. But okay. Let's try to make a few updates. Get player pawn. Pass to CBP. There he is. Oh, set the character reference. Oh. Two. Darn it, because I have pawns trying to connect to characters now. It's getting a little ugly. Unbind all events from HP changed. Oh. I think because these are event dispatchers that I haven't set up yet. Yep. Okay, cool. Whew, got me a little worried. So, new current HP, new max HP. That's what I'm missing for in our new. This is going to be HP changed. On HP changed. I have new current HP and new max HP. Huh? New max HP. New current HP. Int. Integer. Okay. So new current HP, new max HP. Oh. I exited by accident. Okay, now I can move a little bit. Can I connect you now? No. Okay. So now I have unbind all events from on HP changed. Why can't I do that? Oh, it's a third person character. Okay. So, I think I just got that mixed up with the controller. Damn it. Okay. Let me just delete you because the controller itself does not have event dispatchers, but our character, our Westin character needs that HP change stuff. So where are you at, Westin? You need on HP changed. Inputs. New current HP. An integer. Plus. Max HP. Integer. Okay. Oh. Unbind all events. Yay. And bind event. Doop. And then this is fine because this is taking code from, let's try compile. I think the only issue now is down below. Yeah, okay. So this code is okay because this is doing stuff from the battle UI, but this was doing code event dispatchers from the character, which wasn't in place yet. That's what we're going to tackle next. HP bar logic, okay. HP bar logic. So it's not exciting, And I knew this day would come, so I'm sorry you have to bear with me, but again, we are making updates because a lot of our prior code was connected to old controllers and old characters. So now we're having to make that whole. So the character reference is here now. This has got to be our good one. Let me take one look down here again. So I have some functions, apply damage, and heal that are in our third person character. Oh man, I have so many functions. I have a lot of functions here. And a lot of variables too. That are going to have to be moved to this guy. I can't think of an easier way or an easy way. Oh wait, you know what? No. Wait, move? Okay, so this is like out of the box. Move, aim is out of the box. I don't do that. Recalculate max HP. Okay, that is mine. Apply damage is mine. Heal. There's one event dispatcher that I got. All right, so I have a handful of variables. Oh, okay, and again, some interfaces. Actually, maybe only one, but a lot of variables because between the functions and this here, okay. I think I'm gonna pause for this just so I can bang through it, put some music on. But when I return, I will have moved or copied the functions from this one, these handfuls, and all of these variables to our current one, and then make this work, and then compile, and hopefully we get our UI widget working, everything back to normal. All right, I'm gonna pause it. Okay, what I found, which was very cool, is on the third person character blueprint for these variables and functions, you can right click, copy, and then paste it into the variables. So for all of these, they copy and paste it over very nicely. That saved me a ton of time, and then same with the variables too, including the local variables in the function. So that was a big time saver. So now what I'm hoping for in here, so I've got heal and damage, self, and these nodes. So let me compare this one to here. Just want to make sure this is oops, of this. Let's go apply damage. Yep. Here. And heal. To here. Okay. And then damage and heal. Compile. Okay, so we just did a lot of correcting. This is a result of not planning out ahead, but it's also something we expected to do. And I thank myself for making the code fairly simple. So what I hope is not too crazy. I mean, in a perfect world, when I push play, that progress bar is going to get full, and then the other widget will display and be interactable. But how often are things perfect? Okay, so this is a good widget to show. Oh my gosh, we got it, you guys. Holy cow. Something interesting did happen though. I clicked my first damage. Holy cow, okay. I can't believe that. We got pretty lucky. So what surprised me though was when I clicked magic, our first time we did a damage, it took it all the way to 0. Um, Something is not working right, but I think it's okay. Something is not working right, like upon the creation. But in any case, I'm happy. I'm very happy. All right, that's gonna be it for today. What are we gonna do next? I think we're gonna do next just build on these characters kind of hanging around. So I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 magic, blizzard, dies, and then the math works after that. But something's going on upon the very first setup. It's okay though. It must be a something in the UI saying get character, but now we have to update it to pawn. That's my guess. Can we figure it out quickly? Is this something we can figure out quick? It's gonna be the health bar. Where's that at? WBP health bar. Nope. All right. I'll figure it out later. Thanks, guys. Bye.